What's up, world? It's your boy Trey Retro underscore GT back for another episode of G.Taylor Show. Hope that you're having an amazing week. Please like, share, subscribe to the podcast. We're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all your digital streaming platforms. We are on there. And if you're not, please let me know. We just did a few episodes, new episodes. If you haven't listened out to the Road to DSW Part 4, Part 5, our final semester, talking about my actual program, my DSW program, navigating that space, what it looks like, how to tips and trades to get through it and what that may look like for you. And so we want to do just that. And then also rural beginnings, kind of going into my upbringing in rural settings and also the impact of my research going forward. So yeah, man, check that out when you can. And also check out my sneaker series where I am discussing my favorite purchases from 2025. I did it back in 2024. Well, check it. I did my favorite pickups of 2024 for 2025 in the new year. So I did for 2026, my favorite pickups. So check those out when you can as well. A lot of good feedback from those episodes, man. And then, yeah, tell somebody about somebody, right? So real quick, I got 10 minutes and I got to go cook some dinner. So I wanted to also touch on this piece. I touched on this episode, I think, well, athlete mental health, suicide prevention is probably going to come out in a few. Then also wanted to touch on briefly about grief and loss again. So, and I know that's tough, especially coming off the holiday season for a lot of folks. And I just really wanted to get into the aspects of it as a human being versus a clinician. So for me, I'm no stranger to the grief and loss. If you read my book, The Journey to Find Peace, I talk about a period of time between me and my wife and how we lost family members from the time we got married all the way to 2020. Now, a lot of those losses were expected. Some have been sick for quite some time, and some had, was really sudden. I also explained in the past that 2018 was probably my toughest year of my life when losing both my grandmothers 4 or 5 months apart and navigating that space and really shifting how I am as a person emotionally and mentally. Grief and loss has again I've been no stranger to grief and loss. It's been present at my doorstep for years. And it's one of the things that growing up, I didn't know that I would be deal with so much in my adult life. As I'm navigating and research the work that I do, whether it's mental health and well-being or Black mental health, understanding understanding the health disparities and the actual age where folks, understanding the health disparities and comorbidities for folks in the Black community, along with Black folks in the Black community from rural areas, it lines up with what I've been experiencing in my 30s. And mortality rates are higher for Black communities, of course, but mortality rates are even higher for those who live in rural communities. I still born, raised, reside in a rural community. And so therefore it has been a lot of loss. What I was not expecting as I was growing up into my 30s and becoming an adult is, I can hear my son yelling, is the amount of deaths I would have before the age of 35 of all ages, not just older adults. I mean, every age, right? Of course, those closer to your age hit harder sometimes, but all ages, y'all, all ages. So as I did the research, it makes sense, but it still was surprising. Like, man, I just turned 37. I was like, man, that's the amount of people I've lost, probably between the ages of 25 to 35 is ridiculous. And then there's also like you lose loved ones, the ones you care about, primary, family members, close cousins. Then you talk about losing folks in the community of practice at the work that you do, right? Or one contact away, that's your people's right there. You know what I'm saying? So that's that space. And the holidays was amazing. I had a great holiday. Enjoyed time with family. Was very calm. And my kids had an amazing time. They got all the gifts in the world. It was amazing. And for me, holidays have shifted a lot because, I used to go to my grandmother's house and, open gifts. We just go Thanksgiving. We did Thanksgiving dinner there, and then we do it everywhere else. And now we do Thanksgiving dinner here at my house. And then, just different elements, right? When my grandmother passed, all that shifted. We came back for one Thanksgiving at the house, and that was it. And things shifted. So for years, for me, it's kind of the man in me. Sometimes I'm denying what I might have been experiencing during the holiday season, which could have been grief, loss, depressive based symptoms, you name it, right? Because I want to be politically correct. I want to be, yes, I had an amazing holiday season. The kids had, a good time. The family was great, you name it. But I had to be real with myself this holiday season that I do struggle during the holidays, right? I just had to be real with myself. I had to stop telling myself that I'm okay. It is like, no, I'm not okay. And I want to give y'all the opportunities to y'all that is, I'm okay and I'm not okay at the same time. It could be both, because there were times throughout that holiday season where I was okay, and then like a flood that grief does come out of nowhere, and I wasn't okay. So I'm giving safety, I'm giving leeway for folks to say, man, listen, I'm okay, and then a few hours later I'm not okay. It's okay, because that's grief and loss. The holidays is tough for a lot of people. And as much as I want to be optimistic, and much as I want to say, oh man, it was, it was great. Family was great. Everything. It was good. It was good. I had a great holiday season with my family. It was slow. It was restful. I chilled with my kids. I chilled with my wife. We laughed. We did stuff. Played 2K with my kids. Played video games. I did everything. It was outside. My son got a remote control truck, but there was also times where I was not okay. Right. Nothing to be seriously concerned about. Just had sad down moments, y'all. And it's okay. Right. And so I started thinking back. So then I was like, man, why? Because I didn't want to be in that space. I didn't want to be in that space. I didn't want to do nothing about that space. Right. I wanted to get away from it. But, with me and my faith, right, sometimes that I need to call things out to let God know what he needs to work on, even though he might know, but he's waiting for me to say what I need to address. And when I did that and I had that conversation with myself and God, I'm like, yo, you're struggling still with grief and loss, brother. And it's okay. Right. And there are ways to combat this, of course, prayer and different activities, but it's okay to sit still and slow down. It's okay to not create. It's okay to, sift through and manage and take it day by day. Right. You don't have to do it all at once. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be the end all be all, brother. And, running through the timeline. Again, I lost my cousin back in like March. His birthday was like a few days ago. And lost my cousin suddenly in March. Impacted me. That's my guy, like brother from another mother. Everything I do around basketball, connection to basketball started with my cousin way back when. You know what I'm saying? My cousin Rashard, he was a standout basketball star in Stafford County, Virginia. Played for the Stafford Indians. And yeah, man, just amazing athlete and amazing person in general, man. He was a caregiver for his grandfather, amazing uncle to his nieces, amazing brother to his sisters, and amazing son. My dad pretty much considered him like a second son, but that's my guy, man. And so everything related to basketball, sneakers, cars, like there was so much in common. Look down to the point, y'all, like I remember vaguely, I remember back in the day, I used to have his jersey. Me and my other cousin, we were just sitting on the Fisher Price Gold playing basketball. He had us playing basketball and stuff like that. I ended up playing basketball, heavily influenced by him. Supposed to get the one-on-one fade. Never got the one-on-one fade. Never got the one-on-one fade. I'm so mad he left and we didn't get this one-on-one fade, yo, because we were supposed to get the one-on-one fade. We was talking about it. He was trying to get back in shape because he had a health scare prior to this passing, which led to some of his ailments like diabetes, and then also I think diabetes and something else. But I think he had what was, I don't know, something led to the diabetes that led to where he's at. So he wasn't taking care of himself. And when I talk about carbon copies of one another, down to the sneakers as we got older, wear the same size shoe. Into the cars, I sold him one of my Honda Civics, and he was into cars as well, wanted to get certain stuff. I mean, just he was a Boston Celtics fan, unfortunately, UConn Husky fan, Dallas Cowboy fan. Just you, man, just brother, like just really like your close cousin. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. As much as, and he followed all my work. He followed all my work that I'm doing, podcasting, the speaking engagements, the black male mental health stuff, my books that I wrote. He followed all that. And he was also one of my family members too, that like he was so proud of stuff that I did that he even when he would call or text me, he would always make sure I had time. Just let me let me know you got scheduled. And let me holler at you real quick. Let me talk about this. He supported all my, bought my shirts when I was, man, he was very like just a supportive, man. That's my guy. And when I got the call that he was, in a coma and he was getting ready to, pass or whatever the next day. And when he did, I was teaching that evening and I was teaching. I got the call, tough night, tough weekend, ended up passing that Friday. And I considered quitting all of this stuff, y'all. I did. I considered quitting the DSW program. I considered quitting the research around black men's mental health. I stopped playing basketball for a little bit because I was hooping that spring, summer. I didn't play ball probably back until he passed in March. I didn't play basketball for a few months. I didn't want to do nothing, man. I didn't want to do nothing. And in the midst of that, like there was reoccurring anniversaries of other loved ones at the same time. And so going through that, and I thought that all of this work was in vain, to be honest with y'all. Because if I'm sitting here preaching, doing speaking engagements, doing research around black male mental health, talking about the disparities, talking about the barriers to getting folks help, I don't know if he was depressed or not. I really don't. But in my therapist's brain, something along that line says had to be there because depression looks a bit different in black men than it does everybody else. I contemplate, like I was about to quit stuff. What's the point? What's the point of getting this DSW? What's the point of doing black male mental health if my immediate mans can't get the impact, can't understand from the work that I'm doing and saying to take care of himself better? And and then also following up with him like, yo, let's get in the gym, and he's not acclimating. You feel what I'm saying? And then, beating myself up about like, should I have reached out more? Should I just pulled up on him? Should I just stop texting and say, well, I'm gonna pull up on you. We going to the gym. You know what I'm saying? Certain thing, and it was mad stuff that I didn't even know was going on with him that I didn't find out till he passed. So you talk about all those developments. That was like in March. We going through the whole entire timeline of that year, and then there was stuff. Start a new position, going into fall semester for new leadership position, and also final semester of last fall semester, working on some housing stuff, and then 2 other colleagues passed, right? And it's like, hey, yo, what's going on? 2 other colleagues passed my age. Now, my cousin, he was like 40, 41. He's still close to my age. Young folks, right? Young folks still, passing away. And the elements of grief and loss that I felt years prior came into play. Now, I will say with my grief that this was the first one with March, my cousin, was mostly around the grief, the anger side of grief that I've never experienced before. A lot of my grief has been with, just the sadness, the depression, and, other stuff. Now I won't go into other things that was led to that, but again, that was building up. So you have all of these different elements that built up over the last few months that then also compound into the holidays, also mentally and physically being exhausted and drained, right? On top of all of that. And then you get what you get. You get what you get in the holiday season. So I want to tell people, man, like, when it comes to the holidays, be kind, show grace to folks. You don't know specifically what they all are going through. And it might be compounded throughout the whole entire year on top of missing somebody, missing loved ones, missing traditions, things of that nature. I know for me, that was what it was. And it wasn't until I sat down, like, well, at least God sat me down and said, look, man, like, stop lying to yourself. Stop lying to yourself and being. I know what you experienced. I'm helping you out with this. You're going to get through this. I've pulled you out before. However, you're lying to yourself, which is lying to me. And that was freeing, right? Because it helped me process my grief and be real with myself, but also, look at sometimes how as men, man, we just try to fake it till we make it. And it's funny because as much as I preach what I preach about Black men mental health, Black health, taking care of ourselves, being vulnerable, getting through that weakness, shattering those masculinity norms that we have as Black men, I still fall victim to them daily. So it's an ongoing process, and you're not going to always get it right. And the healing process, the healing journey is so it's a process. It's daily. It's a year-long thing. It has no regulated timeline, right? And it looks different for different people, and it comes in waves. And you're reminded with some things. So brothers, I want brothers, man, and it don't have to be just specifically brothers, but people to understand the weight and the pressures of the world, but also how grief and loss manifests with a lot of us, and also how it can compound on top of other different things to balloon into something that is unbearable at times. The way to address it and to be able to understand what's going on is to be still in some form of capacity. To understand what your body and mind is telling you, where is it coming from, and how it's manifesting through your body, through your behaviors, through your emotions, through your relationships, through your social cues, through your socialization with other people, how it's manifesting. If you do not sit there and take the time to really understand that, to be intentional with that, it's going to be very hard to pinpoint where it's coming from, why it's happening, and where did it start. You know what I'm saying? And so that is where we have to give people grace, because again, they can say, well, where you can say, well, why are you thinking like that? Or you shouldn't be thinking like that, or you should be past that, or where this coming from? Your kids had this, your family did this, and you should be grateful and thankful. And some folks, but I don't know. Well, how you don't know? And it's like, that's not fair to people, yo. That's not fair, because sometimes we don't know. We have not sat there and processed what is happening, what's going on, but we know something is going on. And then we'll get into this space talking about folks and saying they don't know what they're doing. They always doing something. They always got something going on, but they don't never know how to fix it. And then people hear that and it's like, I feel like a failure. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, because people keep saying that I'm always got something going on. And it's like, then I try to take the time, but I feel like I should be doing this and doing that in order to be successful, or seen as successful, or seen as I'm the man or I'm the woman. You know what I'm saying? And we just don't give enough grace to people, man, for folks, especially during the holidays, but just in general. And then we wonder why folks, suffer in silence or don't want to reach out and talk to you about it. So, take time to be with yourself. Take time to learn yourself. Take time to understand how things are manifesting and impacting you, right? How things started, what triggered it, what activated, I would say, and what approach can be helpful to address it. It might be therapy. It might be, grief counseling, grief bereavement counseling. It might be, you need to do some self-care activities. You need more sleep. You need to change your diet. You need to exercise. It could be a common. You need to get off social media. It could be a combination of things, but in order to address it, you have to sit still and listen to what your mind and body is telling you. But, you know, and again, this is going to be ongoing, y'all. Like I said, my cousin's birthday was a few days ago. There was some grief that came up, but it moved around. It was good. So then I'm like, all right, what's going to happen next week? You know what I'm saying? Or what's going to happen whenever throughout this semester, because you got different things pop up. And I have to be aware of that. And I'm not perfect. And it might catch me on the wrong day, so all I can do is stay prayed up, but also take care of myself mentally, physically, and spiritually to be able to catch those swings when they come. And if I need to sit down or move myself, I will do just that. So this is why you see this sneaker room, this man cave is more of a man cave, but it's also a place for me to decompress. So I don't do a lot of my business work in this room. This is all creative and decompressing. So, my sneakers, my podcasting I'll do up here, my TV's up here. It's all decompressing because for me, I told myself going into this semester that in order to survive and manage this semester and get into the next phase of my career, I had to have separate rooms and spaces, or at least separate spaces, right, in order to decompress, because certain spaces in the house or in the room are dedicated to work. My body knows when that's happening. My mind knows when that's happening. I get to certain spaces in the room, right? And so when I get to the bedroom, I'm laying down, going to sleep. That's where I rest at, right? When I get to this workspace, I'm working. When I get to my man cave, I am creating or decompressing, right? And so it's low level lights. I usually those lights back there are some of my mood lights, but I usually keep them off. I got my main light off when I'm just vibing and chilling. And I did a lot of that around the break, and it was so helpful. It's probably why I'm in this creative positive funk right now, because throughout the whole entire break, I did not create. And I was in the creative space to do that, the room, but I wasn't ready to do that because I had to work through all of the stuff that I had neglected throughout the year or kept putting to the side and not really addressing. And that's where, that is necessary. That's not probably going to get done in my living room. You know what I'm saying? Where my kids are at, you know what I'm saying? They jumping and throwing stuff around. Like, you know what I'm saying? I still got to be a dad, still be a husband. But where do I go to decompress? And I think that's important. If you have the space in your house to do so, whether that's in the house or garage, if you have the privilege to do so, where do you go to decompress? If you don't have those spaces, just find a space, create it. It can be whatever you need it to be. It don't have to be super big, don't have to be super small. It can be whatever you need it to be. But I would say take the time to create those spaces for yourself, to separate those spaces from work and, social and play. Got to be. So like, share, subscribe to the podcast. Let me know what you think, man. I'm gonna get this episode out here soon, but I just wanted to drop this episode because, again, like I said, folks deal with grief and loss differently, and the holidays are tough, and we get into the new year and you're coming off of that. But it's like, if you did not intentionally work on that during the holiday season, you might be dragging going into the new year, and that's probably why. So, all right. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our digital streaming platforms. We are on that space, YouTube, G.Taylor Show. Check it out when you can. And I hope that you have a blessed week and you're intentional on purpose. All right. Talk soon. Peace.